Hi, I'm Jonathan Stubbs.
I'm Kieron Shepherd.
Welcome to this week's episode of Property Developers Playbook. This is the podcast where we talk about the business of property development. So whether you're just getting started or looking to scale into bigger developments, this podcast is for you.
Yeah, if you're new to the podcast, welcome. And if you're joining us again, welcome back. Please like, subscribe, follow, and show your friends who are interested in property development.
Yep. So today's episode is all about contaminated land, hidden things within the ground. We've touched on previous podcast episodes before, but we thought we'd dedicate a little podcast episode to it particularly. So contaminated land, invasive species.
Contaminated lady, did you say?
Did I say that?
It sounded like that.
Contaminated land. Need to talk slower, more purposeful. Anyway.
Yeah.
Every developer is looking for the perfect plot, and looks can be deceiving. I think that's in many things in life, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
So when it comes to development, it's exactly the same. Don't believe everything you see when you see a piece of land or a building or anything like that.
Yeah.
There needs to be more investigation work to go through that.
Yep.
Now, why does this matter? A site can look flat, clean, neat, tidy, but actually you don't know what was there before.
No, well, somebody's selling it, and their intention is to try and sell it.
Yeah.
And as long as they say they didn't know, about the contaminants or anything like that, then they're all good. But
they're meant to declare everything.
If they know about it, yeah.
Yeah, if they know about it.
Yeah.
So if you are buying a commercial building, there should be an asbestos survey that comes with it, so you'd be able to see if the building has any kind of asbestos. You would think from a office to resi conversion point of view, it wouldn't be quite so relevant. But when we did our Saltash development, we still had to get a ground investigation report done. At which point they then found heavy metals in the land, in the soil, even though we're not building anything new or doing anything with the external landscaping. They then wanted a secondary investigation, a dig, to identify what was there.
Yeah, and it seems to be getting worse, in my opinion. That it seems to be becoming a lot more frequent that happens. That they find a bit of history on the site for something. That I don't know. Somebody might have stored an oil container there once upon a time for about half an hour, and that indicates to them that they should have some sort of tests, soil tests and things, and it's more time, more money. So you just got to keep that in mind, be aware of that can happen. Yeah.
So hidden issues could include ground contamination. So that could be made ground.
Yeah.
If it's any kind of infill. I know different areas have different restrictions or constraints, such as Cornwall has got radon. I know that's kind of prevalent around Cornwall. Other areas of the UK have different things as well.
Yeah, radon is a gas that's released when you from the ground up, and sometimes when you dig the ground, you release pockets of it as well. So, like I said, different areas of the UK have different things. So just things to be wary of.
Petrol stations. Fuel tanks in the ground is another one.
Yeah.
Historical landfill, again, you don't know what was there before or what's been used. I know another one is like car garages. If there's ever been any kind of car mechanic or service station or anything like that around there, there's potential for oil to seep into the ground, and that just causes contaminants that need removing. Yeah.
And what we're not saying is to that's a red flag, stay away. Yeah. We're just saying be aware, because you can use these things as actually a good buy-in tool, and there's some advantages to this if you're prepared to sort of wait and play the game a little bit. There is actually something you can do. Should we go into that now?
Well, we definitely covered this on a previous episode when we spoke about negotiating, finding the different constraints and then using that as part of negotiating.
Yeah, but there's also there's a claim back, isn't there, for contaminated land?
Yeah. So from a tax point of view.
From a tax point of view. Is it 150%?
150%, which was great. So if you spend 100 grand as a cost, then on your tax return, when you're doing after developments, you can claim back 150 grand as your contaminated land or kind of mitigation.
Which is great. I mean, that's a huge amount of money. But you've got to have that 100 grand to be able to do the work, and you can't claim it until you're done, and it's not cash back, it's offset, isn't it?
It's offset against your tax bill.
Tax bill. So Yeah, there are some people who look to do that, or it doesn't scare off people because they've got enough money to be able to do that. So and can wait. So we've actually had sites. We've got a site currently that's contaminated. It's it's covered with mine shafts, and it's got lots of mining waste, heavy arsenic, heavy metals, everything.
Well, it had everything.
It had everything in terms of like ground metals and issues. But it didn't have other things. It didn't have a terrible sort of ecology. It didn't have any plant species or anything like that, which can be a problem.
Yeah, no ecology side of things either.
No, the ecology was fine.
Yeah.
So you got to weigh it up, really.
So why do you need to be aware of these? Because ultimately they will affect your build costs. They will affect your viability and your appraisal and what you're looking to make from it in the long run.
Yeah.
As Kieron said, you can use this to help negotiate. When you put your offer in, you need to make sure that you've taken off your profit and then the costs that your development's going to be, and then that's what your offer price is. So you are taking on the risk of doing the development, but ultimately it's the landowner that needs to pay for that in the long, for a roundabout way of looking at it, I suppose. Yeah,
it's about how you sort of stage that deal, isn't it, and how you put it together.
Yeah.
So,
the other things it can affect, depending on what it is insurance, mortgageability with lenders.
Yeah.
They will want to know what's happening with the contaminants and what your remediation strategy is, etc.
Yeah.
Quite a few times the remediation or contamination will be a planning condition, which you'll see on the decision approval. And you just have to work through that, work with the necessary consultants to mitigate it.
Yeah, and these are things that can't be bodged. You can't just get a builder in who goes, "Oh yeah, don't worry, we'll make that disappear for a little bit of money." You can't. You've got to deal with this properly. It has to be, it's the paperwork trail. It's understanding where these contaminants and waste go, where they end up or where they're treated. So it's really important that this is done correctly.
And getting all the sign-offs.
Yeah. Because if you miss anything, it can affect you on the back end. Now, in some instances, you can't even go back. Some people have been stopped because they've not been able to. They haven't been able to sell the properties because they're missing a bit of paperwork. So it's rare because people know it's serious and they deal with it in the correct manner. But treat it right.
So. Kind of skipping down a little bit, we spoke about invasive species from a plant point of view. So not Barry.
Not Barry. The main culprit. I don't know why I'm holding it like it's prickly or something, because it's not.
A lot of people talk about it. Probably not a lot of people actually know what it looks like.
So this is Japanese knotweed. And actually, it isn't poisonous. In fact, you can eat it if you wanted to. Supposedly, it tastes like rhubarb, I've been told.
So I would never eat it because I hate rhubarb.
So it was introduced into the country, I believe, by the Victorians. It's quite a pretty thing. It's a fast grower. It was an ornamental plant they used to put in pots, and it would grow poor soil, not a lot of water, and that's the reason it's invasive. It will just keep going, and also it has a rhizome root, so the roots go deep and they go far. So even when you trim it back and think, oh, that's gone, it's still in the ground and it will keep going. So I'm not a Japanese knotweed expert, but I can spot it a mile off. And this is from a site that we did look at. It's a couple of roads down that's covered in it. And so this is how you see it. I'm going to call out Samuel Leeds on this one. Did I do it before? I love this. So there are plants that look like this, and Samuel Leeds on one of his videos actually sort of thought he'd seen Japanese knotweed on in a property, and he was like, "No, we're not buying it. It's got Japanese knotweed," and it wasn't. It was a buddleia. But he actually did the right thing. It's better to be overcautious than not. But do your research and understand it. Hopefully we can help you here. So some of the traits of knotweed is these beautiful sort of verdant green leaves, and they're this sort of, what would you say that shape was? Isn't
heart
it?
Shape.
It's sort of almost heart shape, you see. And they are, they're really beautiful, and this red stem. So there are lots of plants that look like this. It's a multi-stem from the ground, and it can grow quite tall, and these can grow chunky. These look a little bit like bamboo in the way they're round, and it's sort of this asymmetric stagger pattern, always like that, and it can be huge.
Big bushes.
Big, but this is the sort of size of the leaves, mature leaves, probably about that size, palm size. So just be aware of that. We will be disposing of this correctly, because this, if you just throw this on the floor, leave it in the hedge, it can actually take root. So we will be incinerating this in the burner and getting rid of it properly. So yeah.
And then how do you treat that? Because there are different treatment methods.
It's a good question. So there are a couple. So you can do an on-site treatment, so where basically it's contained and it's sprayed over a period of time. It's actually changed recently. Someone was talking to me, and I haven't actually looked into this, but typically what it was dug out and either put onto a polythene sheet on site, and then that area, that soil was treated, or it was dug out and taken away. There was a place, I believe, in Wales where they would incinerate the soil and clean it, and there was, both have costs.
Yeah.
Now I think I've been told, and I'd have to check this, but I've been told you don't even have to dig it. You can go through a period of time of, I think it's maybe 3 years. So you've got to have the time on your side here, but you can actually treat it in situ and then spray it and it goes through.
Right.
So one of the problematic things about this is it dies back in the winter.
Yeah.
So if you're going to look at sites in the winter, you probably won't know this is there. So you need to be checking your Street View maps if you can, and see if you can see it. But also try and see it in the spring, summer. Spring it'll be about this size. Summer it could be 6-7 foot tall. It really does come back. So just be wary of it. It's not dangerous to us. It's not dangerous to humans or animals. It's dangerous to buildings, and mortgage companies, they won't have it. It's, you just got to be very aware of it.
Yeah.
There are others, but they're not as classed as heavy as this. I mean, bamboo's terrible.
Yeah.
But
bamboo's terrible just because it spreads a lot.
Again, it's a rhizome root, so it spreads and it can be quite damaging, but it's not as strong or powerful, and you can kill it quite quick. This is quite strong stuff. There's other things as well that will spread and could cause you problems on a slightly lighter level. Say when you're landscaping your gardens and you might get a lot of balsam seed in, and all of a sudden springtime you've got loads of balsam covered in your garden. You're like, where did that come from? So again, it's not invasive, it's not a problem, but just things to be wary of, that what's growing there is dealt with and taken away and it's treated. So yeah.
Another way of potentially, if it's a site that's got planning, I would always read the ecology report, because generally they look at not only the animals on the site but also the invasive plant species, if there are any. Yeah. Again, depends on when they actually did the report, the survey. So just something to be aware of, which will be quite interesting, because not a lot of people have actually seen it or actually understand what it really looks like. So on the ecology side, again, we're not delving much into that. It's just very important to read that document to understand if the site does have bats, are there badgers, great crested newts if you've got a pond or anything like that, or slow worms. I know a friend of ours recently, he was clearing a hedge. He had the ecologist there ready to, basically check that everything was fine to clear the hedge, and then they found a nest of dormouse. Yeah, so immediately had to stop, can't do anything until September. And this is ultimately one of the bigger things when it comes to bats and animals like that, as well as plants, is timings of the year. Is it going to affect your development? So if you've got nesting birds, an example, you can't really cut down trees or hedgerow without an ecologist with you, and then it just delays things. Yep. So just something to be aware of. So how can we protect ourselves? Is by doing proper due diligence, like say reading the ecology reports, reading the ground investigation reports, if there are some. If there aren't any, this is where you need to get a professional team in. Yeah, you need to be getting the searches done, don't you? Yeah. You've got to have the information. And like things like this, you will educate yourself over time, but in the early days you need to rely on professionals who know what they're doing, and it will have a cost to it. So just make those allowances. So we've kind of just done a quick fire site walk checklist. So just unusual vegetational growth. Look for signs of previous industrial use. Look at the neighbour's land, what's being used there at the moment. What others are there? Drainage, water ditches and things like that. That can be an issue. And also, although it's slightly different, but it's something to check out for,
sort of strange structures, maybe surface structures like large concrete pads and things, because there might be things like capped what do you call them, war bunkers and things like that can people used to fill up with asbestos. So anything that looks a little bit suspicious or a little bit odd, oversized sort of drain covers and things, there might be old cesspit tanks and things like that may cause you issues. So just anything that looks a little bit, not vanilla, a little bit spicy, a little bit out of the ordinary.
But definitely talk to people, talk to your architect, look at planning applications. Maybe there's adjacent planning applications. I did this once on the site. We were looking at one site and I knew that next door neighbour had just got planning. So I looked at their planning documents to see who the professional team was. And so I'd approach them to come and work on our site. But also just to see what they found on their land. Because you're right next door to each other, it makes it a lot easier. It's a great way of building up your professional team while seeing the constraints.
Yeah.
There are historical maps you can look at online, so you can go back. I know Google Earth allows you to go back a few years. They only started doing it 2005, I think. So you can go back like 20 years-ish. But there are historical maps that can show you stuff. This is ultimately what's happened on our salt ash developments. The ground investigation team went back on historical maps, saw that at one stage in the last 100 years or something, there was this, it was used as a builder's yard.
Yeah, like a builder's yard,
and they thought that was going to cause some contaminants, and that's why they wanted to do a ground investigation report.
Yeah, I think what their theory was that this builder's yard would have had lorries leaving it, delivering goods, and that they would have held their own fuel. They're probably right. They probably would have had their own fuel bowser to fuel their own vehicles. That's why, sort of raised the flag, and then it made that sort of happen.
So you can look at those, like I say, talk to ground investigation team, talk to ecologists, talk to the environmental, what do you call them? We use Yes Environmental, Andrea, and they are environmental surveyors.
Environmentalists, environmental surveyors,
But they're not ecologists, different,
yeah.
Yeah.
We just tend to call them like soils, don't we?
Something like that. They do soil testing.
Yeah. We just always refer to them as soils.
Yeah, that's some of what we refer them as. That's when they wanting extra money for doing digs that we don't think is necessary.
No, we call them something else then.
Ultimately, budget for the unknown. You will have a contingency, but if you can identify these constraints and identify some of these costs while you're doing your evaluation phase of the project, it'll help with your negotiations, it'll help with your offer price, and then it's just factored into your development costs, and it's part of the process.
Yeah.
That's not, you're trying to make sure that it's not too much of an unknown, but you can only do so much.
No, yeah. And again, if you're new to it, or relatively new to it, you do need to rely on someone who's got experience, professionals with experience, or like I said, our partnership works well. We've both got good experience, but obviously as a main contractor, I've come up against a lot of this in the past.
Yeah.
Certainly things like asbestos, knotweed, all the big ones. Mine shafts,
You've done everything now.
I've done it all. But maybe partnering with someone that you can work with quite early doors that's got that experience. And actually, they're good questions to ask when you're sort of maybe looking at forming a partnership. What experience do you have with this? Because I think, if it's a main contractor, a building contractor, they should have experience and should be able to tell you some stories and about what they've dealt with. And I think it's don't let it put you off at all. You will learn this. You will learn over time of what to spot and how to deal with it, and costs associated with it. There's and the different levels of contaminants and things like asbestos and licensable, non-licensable, things like that. You will learn, but it's good if you can. One of the key people in your team has that knowledge already to be able to spot it quite early on. Yeah. So
We'd be very interested to know if you've ever uncovered anything on your own developments when it came to, contaminated land or species or anything like that, and how did that affect your budget and program? Always interested to find out from our listeners.
Yeah, actually, me and Faith did a socials video, didn't we, about digging up something? I dug up a body once. But actually, that's quite important. Another thing is ancient burial sites and historic burial sites. People forget about that, and it's archaeology
Yeah, archaeology is another one.
That can actually hold you up the biggest amount of time.
Yeah.
You know, if they find something of significance and you don't control that.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to our dig, we thought we dug up a...
Please finish that story. Just leave it like that.
It wasn't a human body. I'll quickly say that so nobody's worried. But we thought we'd found a human body, and we found a bag of bones and hair, and it turned out to be the homeowner's dogs. And it was quite a bit worrying at first.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. But
it wasn't a small dog either.
No, it was a big dog. It was like a Labrador. So, beautiful blonde hair. I thought, oh dear, what's this? It was in a carpet in a bag, and we were like, this isn't good.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So you never know what you're going to find, ultimately. Just on the archaeology, I would, if it's a complaining condition, I'll try and get that done before any kind of exchange of contracts or before you borrow any kind of money, just because it can cause big delays. So we'll talk about that in another episode.
Yeah.
So key lessons from today, every site has risks. Just because it looks like a flat piece of land or anything like that, there is something there that you need to be aware of. It may affect your foundations or anything like that. So just have a look at it. Have a look at reports.
Yeah. Do your due diligence.
Yeah.
That's the important thing.
Exactly. So hopefully you found today's episode useful. Don't forget to subscribe now and share it with friends and family or anyone else that's doing property developments.
Yeah. Brilliant.
As always, learn, build, scale. I'm Jonathan Stobbs.
I'm Kieron Shepherd.
Till next time.
See you again.
Soon.